Brian Shaw's Strongest Man on Earth 2025 is shaping up to be the most difficult strongman contest ever, and here's why. The Strongest Man on Earth was originally known as the Shaw Classic, a contest that was started to keep the sport alive during lockdown. It was hosted by the four-time world's strongest man and greatest American strongman in history, Brian Shaw. The Strongest Man on Earth has become on par or greater than the Arnold Classic or the World's Strongest Man as a strongman contest. Now, Brian Shaw is generally known as a strong man and really nice person. He's an absolute sadist when it comes to the difficulty in these events. He does give athletes behind-the-scenes views of every event and implement so they can train specifically for this, but the weights are way higher than any other contest. For example, this year at the 2025 World's Strongest Man, the final round of Atlas stones ranged from 310 to 460 pounds, but the SMOE manhood stones ranged from 460 to 600 pounds. So, if the stones are 30% bigger, are the men 30% bigger? No. This contest is about maxing. Who can lift the most in one go? The strongest man on Earth for just that lift. That means bigger guys are better than faster guys in this contest, which makes sense for the title of Strongest Man on Earth. So Brian Shaw must want people to set world records with these events, right? Athletes are set up to go for the max weight on every event, except that he hosted a mile above sea level in Loveland, Colorado. There's 17% less oxygen up there, and yet he's asking people to put themselves under the greatest weights ever attempted. Now, the last reason this is such a difficult contest is simply the number of competitors. Unlike World's Strongest Man, there's no heats and eliminations on day one. At SMOE, 16 athletes compete for 16 points on every of the 8 events. And the more athletes there are, the more you'll get penalized for a bad performance. So there can't be any rest events for contestants who are looking to win. So, what events did Brian concoct to test the strongest men on Earth this year? The first event of day one is a wooden log overhead press. Most strongman events use metal logs nowadays, so many of the athletes will not have recent experience with this. This is actually the most anticipated event of the contest for many people because so many of the athletes are going for the world record at the same time. Event 2 is a standing chest press, basically bench press standing up. It's not an event that usually features in strongman, so many of the athletes haven't had bench in their training cycle for years. And the strange apparatus Brian made that drops kegs in makes this event exciting and difficult to prepare for. Event 3 is the side-handled deadlift. The bar for this event is supposed to allow you to deadlift even more than usual, and there are Hummer tires used as weights. Now, being a new event at SMOE, many athletes think they can do more than they're probably going to be able to do at it, but hopefully we get surprised by some huge numbers over 1,000 pounds. The fourth event is a frame carry into seated arm-over-arm medley. Now, I don't know exactly which implements they'll be using, but if you've ever seen someone lift and walk with a car, it will be that, immediately followed by a rope pulling event, which will probably be pulling something like a truck. The first event of day 2 is the super yoke. Now, if you haven't seen a yoke, basically at some point someone was doing squats with heavy weights, and they decided they wanted to max out their squat bar with 1,000 pounds and just run with it. Every strongman jokes they've lost 1 to 2 inches to heavy yokes, literally crushing them shorter. So Brian Shaw decided to make it harder and heavier by attaching 2 safes to the side of a yoke frame. This is 1,200 plus pounds and oddly shaped enough that no one will have gotten good practice on it. Good luck, competitors. The second event of day 2 is the manhood stones. I talked before about how the stones are 30% heavier in this contest than World's Strongest Man, and they still are. If we see a 600-pound stone go up, that would be a new world record. But last year these stones got the better of several athletes that started too heavy, ended up not being able to lift anything at all, and it led to the lightest stone being worth a ton of points. So I think this year most athletes will be picking up the light stone just as a safety net. The third event of day 2 is a max weight keg toss. Now there's a clip of Brian Shaw throwing a 70-pound keg 15 feet in the air, it landing on his shoulder, but then he shrugs it off and breaks a world record. Now that's the classic Brian Shaw. Break records or break yourself, or both. Now, most strongman events use sandbags nowadays for throwing events, or they're speed events with small weights. Now, this is a keg toss for max weight. None of the athletes have actually tried this before, so it should lead to lots of mistakes and surprises. Be on the lookout for the tall competitors. They tend to do well in this event. So the final event of the contest is the tire flip power stairs medley. SMOE always ends with the power stairs so that the stairs can double as a victory podium. So the excitement level of this event always comes down to the scores. If there's a close battle at the end, this event will be extremely tense and fun to watch. Well, I look forward to seeing you at SMOE 2025. We're guaranteed to witness some greatness and some breakness.